will be a compact yet deep dive into my unbiased thoughts and opinions on the Babolat Pure Aero 2023. Keep in mind that there are no other consistent unbiased YouTube tennis equipment reviewers out there. Other online major retailers that do review equipment such as rackets, strings, and shoes do profit off positive reviews, whereas I do not. In fact, I'm what you would call anti-marketing and anti-sales, where I can say whatever the hell I want, and if fanboys get triggered about it, well then, they can start a fight on my Discord. Link down in the description below. I will also leave chapters for this video if you want to skip to a specific section. But as a forewarning, I found a very major flaw in this racket that is an absolute amateur oversight on the Babolat engineers. Shame on you, Babolat engineers. This Pure Aero has a new paint job, and I'm happy to report that it is no longer looking like a pickleball paddle shoved deep inside a rotting banana. Good job, Babolat. The launch angle for this racket was surprisingly more manageable than past versions. I didn't feel like the ball was sailing over the tarp and towards the moon when I swung out from the baseline. The racket was a lot more flexible than previous versions, which has mostly positive results. The power is lowered slightly, but not significantly enough to where the ball was consistently dropping short when it wasn't supposed to. And I'm happy to report that the mishits were slightly more forgiving as well. Towards the tip, it did lose a little bit of power, which is expected, but didn't have a jarring, tingy impact on my hand and wrist, unlike the current Babolat Pure Aero VS, my previous racket. And as always, the spin potential from this Pure Aero is top notch, along with the maneuverability. Just as good as the Angel K7 Red. I'll leave a link to that racket review in this corner if you haven't checked it already. Surprise! It's a damn good racket. This racket was also damn good when it came to defensive slices in the baseline on both forehand and backhand, something not exactly associated with Babolat tennis rackets as a whole, but it's an absolutely welcome in my book. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the negatives of this tennis racket from the baseline. Unsurprisingly, this racket is absolutely terrible when flattening out both forehand and backhand shots. Every time I got a mid-court ball in my forehand wing, which admittedly is my weakest shot in my arsenal, I found myself hitting it either way too long, like a foot past the baseline, or it hits the bottom of the net tape. The backhand flatter shots felt unconfident and hesitant, but I will talk about this more in a minute. This is extremely disappointing because with the other recent racket reviews I did do this past summer and fall, I did not have this problem at all. Even though this racket was great for defensive slices, aggressive slices, both forehand and backhand, were mediocre at best. When I was able to set my feet and really lean my shoulders and hips into getting under the ball with plenty of momentum, the ball either floated way too high or too far past the intended target. So I either became an immediate loser of the point, and trust me, I am a loser according to people on Talk Tennis, or I became a nice juicy target to have a headshot so I can be spit roast at your soon-to-come Thanksgiving dinner. Can you guys actually imagine if they unveiled the main course at your family's Thanksgiving? It's just me, naked, with an apple in my mouth and stuffing up my Lastly, this racket does not feel like it's made for one-handed backhands. This is the worst racket I've ever play tested for the one-handed backhand wing, which is arguably my favorite shot. I feel like when I'm able to set up with a backhand drive cross court, the ball floats either long, wide, or in the net due to the lack of acceleration. Even if I do connect with a backhand cross court that goes in, I do not like the feeling of it at all. In all honesty, if you have a one-handed backhand, I would look elsewhere. But keep watching this video and share it because it helps with the YouTube algorithm. Just like hitting like and subscribe and the notification bell for more original tennis content. You know what else is also original? The Jetpack tennis bag. As of now, this is my go-to tennis backpack when traveling to my local tennis club and traveling on a plane. With 2 compartments specifically for tennis rackets and a generous duffel-like main compartment for larger items like tripods, cameras, and spare clothes, this is a perfect backpack for almost any possible situation. On top of that, there are side compartments for phones, wallets, condoms, switchblades, and other paraphernalia. And there is a compartment to keep your water, sports drinks, and beers cool, along with a mesh bag for all your stinky clothes. I will leave a link in the description for 15% off this high-quality tennis bag that has 30 5-star ratings from happy customers. The referral code is ADVSanset, and yes, it does help out this channel. You actually might want to check my pulse or slap me across the face because I cannot believe I'm saying this. This Babolat racket is a damn good racket at the net. In fact, I can only point out one minor flaw. This racket is extremely comfortable when closing past the service line or defensive pickup volleys, reaction volleys, due to the maneuverability because it's so easy to whip around, and being able to stick volleys with proper penetration makes this racket feel more like a traditional player frame sometimes. The touch shots on this racket were surprisingly fantastic as well. I love carving the butt of the ball. Yes, I said butt and ball in the same sentence for a short volley dropper that sends my opponents scrambling faster than Californians fleeing their home state. The only negative I have about this racket at the net is this. It is a little bit unstable. If you have even the slightest mishit with this frame, the ball will drop significantly shorter than expected. Overall, this might be one of the best flat serving rackets I've play tested in recent memory, which is surprising because the flat shots were horrible for this racket. On the plus side, this racket had exceptional side spin or slice serves. Specifically on the deuce side, I was able to pull off a few aces by having the ball spin just out of my opponent's reach. However, the kick serve were slightly above average at best. It did not have action and movement as much as I wanted it to from a 100 square inch open string pattern racket. Whoever designed the grommet system for this racket needs to be fired and shunned from the racket sports industry. Hey, maybe this individual can get a job designing paddles for pickleball. Do us all a favor. When stringing this racket, I noticed there were grommets that were lower than the level of the strings, even when the strings were tensioned. Why is this a bad thing, you ask? Because when digging scramble shots from the baseline or the net, the strings on this new Pure Aero will actually make contact with the ground. And after enough of these, the strings will break. In fact, out of the 4 times I strung my 2 Babolat Pure Aeros, I had to restring one because of this issue. It broke outside of the actual grommet because it was making contact with the ground. Babolat has to understand that the main designs and purposes for a racket grommet is to not let anything besides the tennis ball make contact with the tennis strings. And with this new version, they have absolutely failed in just that simple concept. Not that Babolat really cares, they're just trying to squeeze every penny out of you by raising the prices of their overpriced tennis equipment and slapping Alcaraz's in Nadal's face on everything possible before Nadal retires, which is soon to happen probably. Enough about what I have to say about this racket. I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Do you like the new Pure Aero version? Are you excited to try it if you haven't? And most of all, did you find this informative? Do you agree or disagree with my pros and cons? If you have any, please share this with Babolat fanboys and see if it triggers them. This was play tested and reviewed for over 10 hours of court time, and this was strung with Slinko Hyper G at 50 pounds. As always, guys, happy hitting.